That was the President of the United States in the Oval Office having an availability with doctors and nurses. Let's bring in special report anchor Bret Baier, who was watching that along with me. One of the pieces, news pieces that's been out there was that there was this talk yesterday that there might have been a winding down of the coronavirus task force. The president now saying in the Oval Office that it's very popular, it's a very prestigious and a very good task force, and it looks like it'll be around for a while, but maybe not giving daily briefings. What do you think of that, Bret?
Yeah, I think, good afternoon, Dana. I think he was saying that it's going to continue, but take on a different form, if you will, focus more on the reopening of businesses around the country, maybe have different players inside that coronavirus task force and kind of evolve, if you will. It was interesting, asked why he said he was going to wind it down, and now he says it's going to continue indefinitely. He said he just didn't realize how popular it was. I think that evolution was on its way to happening, and as the president does, he uses different semantics to describe how things are transitioning. The other thing I took away from it was this interesting focus on health care and whether there's going to be this fight to stand up with the court battle that is trying to throw out Obamacare. This is a real election year issue. And you hear Democrats talking about health care because it still polls tremendously high. There really isn't a Republican solution as of yet. And that's a real question.
One of the things that the 2018 Democrats really pushed was that people with pre-existing conditions would not be taken care of. And the administration's legal position on this is not something that makes it easy for them to talk about. The other thing is there, and I noticed in this briefing is, so one of the nurses was talking about PPE, this personal protective equipment. She starts to say it's been sporadic, but they've done a good job. But the president says, but that's not true everywhere, right? There's many places have plenty of PPE, which is undoubtedly true. But there are still these pockets where, as Dr. Birx was saying, the governors are being surgical in figuring out where to do the testing. Maybe the PPE needs to be in certain places. And as that all settles out, I wonder what then the administration does next, because what he's been saying for 2 or 3 days. So what is the next evolution? Where do they go from here?
Well, it seems like they're going to focus on the reopening part, even as some places are seeing a high number of cases. Obviously, the testing numbers are going up. To the president's point, as you test more, you're going to see more cases. The real numbers to look at, obviously, Dana, are the deaths and the hospitalizations, and that track where that is going. I thought it was interesting, too, about the PPE. The one nurse saying, I don't like when there's fear-mongering about it, but the other nurse from New Orleans saying, I've used my N95 mask, I've reused it many, many times. So you're right, there are different pockets dealing with different things, but we are seeing the production has increased.
Maybe just one last question for you. I wanted to talk to you about the fact that the president's able to get out there. He was in Arizona. He has these availabilities in the Oval Office. He'll meet with the governor of Iowa later this hour. And then Joe Biden, he has seen his popular support against President Trump erode in the last week or so. And partly, I think, Bret, that's because he's just not able to get out there, not able to break through.
And you saw David Axelrod and David Plouffe write an op-ed saying you got to get out of the basement in Delaware, essentially saying you got to create these viral moments and these big moments. It is tough to break through. He's benefited a little bit, though, from that, Dana, while the president has, had fits and starts in some of these press briefings. The latest Monmouth poll has Biden up, and those numbers are not great for the Trump campaign. However, the Gallup poll, his approval at 49%, that's the highest it's been in that poll. Yeah. So there's a disparity between polls.
There is, as there often is, but there are snapshots, and we take a look at them. Bret Baier, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here and sticking with us through that availability that the president had in the Oval Office.